I'm Ed Bertram. I'm with the International League Against Epilepsy, and we're here to talk with patients about their disease, but also to help encourage them to become better advocates for epilepsy. Develop a common message for how they can get better care and how to make sure that epilepsy doesn't get stuck in the shadows in our health system. And it's been very encouraging hearing what patients have had to say, and we also find they're all saying that there's a real need for this activity. The most important thing that patients can do is actually demand better care. There really isn't now a lot of organization to our care. And patients often will see a number of people who know the very basics about epilepsy, but don't really have the expertise or the experience in the more complicated cases to really give them good guidance and treatment. And that's where they can help, is by demanding that they need to have better access to the specialists who can then get them the care they may need that may be helpful. Everybody has a slightly different message. When they take it to their congressman, or that there's not a coherency. They really need to be talking about epilepsy and be very clear about what it is that epilepsy needs, because without that, our government leaders really won't know what to do. It's important that we give them a very clear common message, and I think that's what we should be working on here as a group now, is what is it that we want to tell, what are the needs that need to be met. And this really kind of needs to come from the patient perspective, what's been lacking for them for all of these years that we might be able to fix by just some simple changes in how the system works.
Little Angels is a 501c3 nonprofit. We believe that no disabled person should have to pay for their service dog. That's all done through fundraising. Through us, we don't even require them to do any fundraising, our recipients. We will do it for them, or they can participate as much as they feel like doing. We train dogs for seizure alerts, psychiatric assistance, mobility, diabetes, and hearing. I am the applications administrator for Little Angels, so all the applications come in through me. We have an exhibit over here, and we're going to be having demonstrations all day long. We have 5 dogs with us, and our little puppy that is 12 weeks old, to show you how we train them from the time they're 2 days old until they're about 2 years old, and then they're placed in the homes with our recipients. It makes a difference in their lives, huge difference. For the parents that have say an 18-month-old baby that has seizures at night, this dog is trained to alert them to seizures. The parents can get a good night's sleep for the first time in a year and a half. And even children, we had a little boy yesterday, his Mason. He just was diagnosed with epilepsy. He's 5 years old, and he's been sleeping with his mother since June. You know, he cannot, they're afraid, the parents are afraid to leave their children alone, so it's huge. It gives them some independence, it gives the parents some peace of mind.
We're a capital equipment manufacturer. And the equipment that we manufacture is ambulatory video EEG. Its purpose is to allow the patients to go home, be in their natural environment where the triggers for their episodes occur, and allow them to capture it on video. So a lot of times when patients are sent home, let's say you get a baby and they're patting baby on the back, that rhythmic activity can look like a seizure, but nobody would know that they were actually getting patted on the back, or had a pacifier in their mouth, or having a bottle, and that rhythmic activity, that chewing, would look like a seizure. So when you capture it on video, the neurologists are actually able to exclude that information and say, okay, that's not something I'm concerned about. Prior to this type of technology, it was kind of their best guess of what was going on. They would just send them home with the recorder, 24 hours, come back, read that EEG. Now they can actually do the video. On top of having the video, they can remote in and see the study while it's being recorded, and we can do up to 3 days of recording, which is multiple days. So it'll be a virtual EMU. So this is my first year here with Epilepsy Awareness, but we've been supporting Brad's team and for, gosh, I don't know how many years.
I think 4 years now our company's been coming. And we're one of the sponsors as well. And the one really nice thing about this is we get to meet our patients. A lot of times we're selling the equipment to the hospitals and the people in the hospitals, but we don't get to see the patients as much anymore. So it's very nice we come full circle, and we can kind of give them some ideas of where to go for treatment, and they can use this as a resource. Yesterday I met a few people. One lady I actually knew from my hometown, and I didn't know her son had seizures. So I was able to give her my card, and she can use me as a resource at any time if she needs my help. Also, we're showing them the equipment that we have. Not every facility has this type of equipment, and it's very easy for your child to go home with this equipment for 1, 2, or 3 days of monitoring rather than be admitted to the hospital, and it's kind of scary and all those types of things. Now, it's not always recommended to go home with the patient, but a lot of times it is, especially when they're trying to diagnose the patient.
I'm with the Danny Did Foundation. Danny was a young boy who was 4 years old and lived in Chicago, and he was having nocturnal seizures. His life was taken by something called SUDEP, which is sudden unexpected death in epilepsy. And at that time, his parents were not educated or told by any doctors or foundations or nurses, anyone in the healthcare world, what SUDEP, that it exists, that this risk existed. So we've decided at that time to take that role, fill that communication gap, and let other parents and caregivers know about this risk, because if you're not educated, it's very hard. You don't have a chance to protect your child if you don't know what you're up against. So we do a lot of awareness on epilepsy, of course, seizure safety, and then SUDEP as well. We also provide families with grants. For instance, we have 25 families here who could not otherwise afford to come to Disneyland. So we have an application process, and 25 families will be joining us today. And then we also have a grant program for devices. And what I mean by that is there are devices, some of them are here today, manufacturers are here today, that can alert you or a loved one or a caregiver if you are having a seizure. So someone can come to your aid and possibly give you seizure first aid or just protect you from any risks. Well, we're very excited to be here. We've been here since the beginning. We love educating and meeting new people today, and then we will have a great time tomorrow at the park. We love the sense that everybody's coming together to celebrate their loved one, to celebrate with a child or a spouse. And really, the whole day is about them. And it's a day to kind of just be joyful and remember that we're in this together and that we're not alone. And that it's a break. It's a break from doctor visits and from measuring your medicines and all of the care that goes into taking care of somebody with epilepsy. This event is huge because everybody's in one room. A lot of families tell us that they would have to go to 6 or 7 different conferences in different cities to get all the education that they're able to get in one room in one day here. There's tables that you can go and ask any questions that you might have. There's presentations that delve deeper into an area that might interest you. And it's family friendly. So that's very helpful to families too, that they normally would have to get a babysitter or someone to take care of their loved one while they're gaining their education here. But here we welcome everybody from babies through grandma and grandpa.
So we are ASSET, we're the American Society of EEG Technologists, so we are representing technologists on a national level for education and credentialing, licensure in our society as a whole. So this is my 4th year, and this venue has grown. It's wonderful to see everyone that has come to support those that either have loved ones or themselves that have been affected by epilepsy or seizures within this realm. Brad has done a wonderful job in bringing the heightened awareness to the public about epilepsy as a whole. I think this is a great venue where families can actually network and know that they're not alone. Right, that there's other individuals out there and they can find help and support, and knowing that there are health centers, communities that are out there to help them throughout this whole process.
Epilepsy Canada is a national organization out of Toronto, Ontario. Our sole mandate is to raise funds for epilepsy research, and we do that across the country. Using multiple vehicles. Largely we use third-party fundraisers, people who have been affected by epilepsy and want to do something about it. For example, Aiden's Drive. Aiden was a young boy, 2.5 years old. His father, Jay, works for Air Canada, wanted to do something special, and came forward and put together a golf tournament last summer, raised $80,000. Next summer, a team of 12 of us are going to Mount Kilimanjaro, and it's being led by two CEOs, the CEO of a solar energy company who lost his sister 10 years ago to SUDEP and wanted to do something special. So these people are reaching out to us, coming forward, raising money, and that money is going to epilepsy research. We just finished a call this past fall, and we'll be providing $200,000 to the Canadian institutions for epilepsy research. I was invited here because of Amanda. Amanda Plum is going to be a speaker. Amanda lives in Alberta and is a marathon runner and also lives with epilepsy. And she's going to be doing a motivational speech at noon today and talking about her life living with epilepsy and being a marathon runner. So quite motivating. Amanda is also going to join us on our trip to Kilimanjaro next summer, and thought that we should come to Epilepsy Awareness Day in California. This event will help people understand the various treatments, support systems and mechanisms, and will give them some comfort that research is underway to find a cure. I think those are all very important, particularly around supporting their own family members who are living with epilepsy.
Okay, so we're with Global Genes. We're an advocacy organization that raises awareness for rare disease. And there are some forms of rare epilepsy, but many, many rare diseases have an epileptic component to their rare disease. And so that's why we're here. And we have many foundations that we support, and a lot of them are here today. So we're excited, but that kind of is in a nutshell what Global Genes does. We are actually forming a great partnership because we're local as well with Epilepsy Awareness Day and working together. So they were at our event as well. We have a really big event in September in Irvine, California. So we're developing a fantastic partnership and utilizing each other and expertise. And so we're invited back here today, and we're excited to be here. It's incredibly important to gain knowledge. The health industry is changing drastically, over and over, and you learn more and more every year. So having families come here and foundations come here to learn and gain knowledge, and then to take that knowledge out is super important.
Well, we are a parent education and support group. We're a nonprofit. We started here in Orange County. We're now in 30 states. So our whole goal is to help parents get the education, support, and advocacy to get them to treatments faster. Autism affects 1 in 68 children, but up to 40% of those children are affected by some type of seizure disorder.
Well, we're both parents of children that have both autism and epilepsy. So we have been, we happen to see Brad, both of us do, for our EEG. So that's how we kind of networked. And we've been coming since its inception, 5 years. And just reaching the parents here in Orange County, it's been great to see it grow because, epilepsy is something that can be treated. And as is autism, there are medical conditions that can be treated. So we really believe in that. Well, I think the support and knowing you're not alone is key. That's something we do with TACA as well. And then just having the resources, whether it be you need a therapy dog or you need to find a neurologist, or in my case, I have a soon-to-be adult. He's going to be 17. He's 17. He's going to be 18. So I'm looking at what's going to happen after the pediatric care.
So the Epilepsy Foundation is a national organization with over, I think, close to 50 local organizations that provide direct programs and services to the community around the country. And we also focus on epilepsy research to try and find treatments and eventually a cure. So we're happy to be a part of the day. It's an amazing opportunity to talk to the community members and to be a part of something that's very special. It brings families and individuals from across the country and actually from around the world together in one place to provide information, and so they can find answers to all of their questions. So it's very meaningful to us to be here. Families come here, either they are just diagnosed with epilepsy or they have had a family member who's had it for a number of years. And so they're all in different parts and phases of their journey. And so we like to give information to families where they can learn about epilepsy no matter what phase they're in. And so they can find answers, whether it's new treatments, whether it's a new program that they can use, and so they can take it back home with them and they can benefit from them in their community.
So we're Canna Kids. We are inspired by this gorgeous little kid, Sophie, who's my daughter, who's a cancer patient. We saw early on, we were introduced to cannabis as an option to shrink her brain tumor. Saw huge success in shrinking her first year. A tumor that wasn't supposed to shrank it by about 85%. And then basically we saw a need 4 years ago. It was hard to get quality lab-tested medicine, and there wasn't dosing guidance to go along with it. So we saw this need, and that's basically why we started CannaKids, is to provide quality lab-tested oils, have a team of nurses to dose you depending on what your condition is, whether it's cancer, epilepsy, autism. We've gotten really good at everything. At this point, we've treated over 1,000 patients, close to 1,500 patients. And so I always tell people the big three, cancer, epilepsy, autism are our main focuses, but even less serious things like pain, anxiety, depression, and then other things, Crohn's, fibromyalgia, Parkinson's, things that we're still kind of learning that cannabis can also treat. But those are the big things that make us unique, is the quality, but also the fact that we have nurses that help with the dosing. And then to add to that, another thing that for us, as a company that wants to stay ahead of the curve, is research and clinical trials. Because I think we've just really learned that that's a very, very important part of keeping the quality high, is getting into hospital trials and clinical trials in hospitals, and also research. So we partner with the Technion Institute out of Israel. They're about 5 to 10 years ahead of us with cannabinoid research. And so they're actually doing genetic testing. And so my wife flew a piece of our daughter's brain tumor sample, and what they're going to do is discover all the strains that they have, and they actually have discovered more cannabis strains than what we know here in the States, and they're going to find out what strains pair best with the driving mutations within her tumor. And in doing so, we're going to learn how to treat on a genetic level. So instead of treating a specific condition, we're going to treat the mutations, the genetic mutations within that condition, and therefore treat much more specifically. And many times you can have two of the same type of tumors or the same type of epilepsy, but the genetic profile might be slightly different, or the driving mutations inside a cancer, for example. And so if you're treating on a genetic level, it's always going to be more specific and more effective. So those are some of the things that we're very excited about in terms of ushering in the future of medical cannabis on the research and clinical trials side. So those are a few things that makes CannaKids unique. So obviously we have a table here. We're here educating people on what we can do with medical cannabis, which is very, very important, because so many people it's such a hot topic now, right? Over 90% of the country believes in supporting it for medical purposes, but there's still, the education isn't there yet. So that's something that for us is adding the educational component. And then to even take that a step further, my wife, who's the CEO and the face of our company, she's going to be speaking at 2 o'clock on cannabis and what it can do for epilepsy and other. Obviously, because it's an epilepsy event, the focus will be on epilepsy. She may touch on other diseases like cancer and autism, but she will be talking on basically treatment options. CBD specifically is a big go-to for treatment of seizures, but there's a number of things, and that's why we always recommend booking a consultation with one of our nurses, because depending on what you're suffering from, what type of epilepsy, and also your genetic makeup, your treatment option can vary. It isn't a one-size-fits-all, right? So my wife is going to be up there speaking and answering a lot of questions about cannabis and what you can do and applications and things like that. So not only do we have this table, but my lovely wife will be out there trying to educate people as much as she can.
And how do you think this event benefits families affected by epilepsy?
Oh, I mean, I think it's huge because, and I can speak as a family, a father of a sick child. When your child gets sick, you don't even know where to start. you have this kind of this feeling, this overwhelming feeling of where do I start? And many people just listen to their doctors, which is great. I mean, we're taught to listen to our doctors, but I think it's important to also branch out and learn about other alternative natural treatments. And so coming into an environment like this, you have a little bit of everything. And I think it can provide a good starting point for people that maybe they've just found out their child is suffering from epilepsy and they don't know where to start. So you can come to an event and learn, and there's hospitals here, and learn on the Western medical side. There's cannabis companies here. Learn about cannabis as an alternative. There's, I think, really, in this type of setting, there's something for everybody. And then, of course, there's the educational component. People like my wife getting up there and educating and answering questions. And, the hospital professionals, there's going to be a lot of people up there speaking. So an event like this, I think, is really huge because you have companies from all different backgrounds and speakers from all different backgrounds educating you and giving you a good starting point. And even if you're a ways into this process and you want to fine tune and learn even more, wherever you are in your process, I think an event like this can be very, very powerful.
Yeah, so my name is Mike Reynolds. I'm the Vice President for Jaden's Journey, Jaden's Juice, our CBD product line. My son specifically benefits from it, among other children. My son's 4. He started at 8 months old and kind of brought me away from teaching. And here we are today. So we have quite a few variety of product line. We have high CBD, which is, everyone's kind of known for the CBD right now. THC line, THCA, which is cold extraction, and RSO. We don't have any RSOs here today, but that is some of the products we offer as well. Our product was started on focus on epilepsy for children because both me and my partner both have sons, but it's kind of taken off. I think everybody knows if anybody reads or looks at anything. As you can tell in the Disneyland booth area, you got I think 6 cannabis representations here, different companies, and so it's becoming more and more accepted alternative. I think it is than even 4 years ago when we started. So.
Tell us about your participation in Epilepsy Awareness Day.
This is our first time being at Epilepsy Awareness Day. We've been in contact with Sophie's Journey and, have a great relationship on that side. Obviously, we've been a pretty big advocate up north. And at our dispensary, we offer educational days for parents with epilepsy, autism, kind of across the board, along with, our veterans and everything else we do, cancer, a little bit of everything. But epilepsy is, hits close to home because both of our sons are epileptic. And so, we've been gaining more traction in the epilepsy world. So it's a learning process. As someone with a young child that has epilepsy, first you learn how to deal with, the condition of your kid, and then you kind of figure out, are you going to be the one that just sits back, or are you going to try to be proactive and be involved? And so that's kind of where we've been the last probably 2 years, and wanting to just get more and more involved and, help other kids besides our own. I think the biggest thing is exposure. You're starting to see more acceptance in the cannabis community, or in the epilepsy community, not the cannabis community, but this is a pretty prestigious event. It's at Disneyland, and you have legitimate cannabis companies here that are trying to help. And so I think as a parent, even if you're not fully aware of the potential of cannabis, when you come to an event that is put on by legitimate people, it helps build that confidence or security, or just that comfort feeling of maybe there is something to it. And our thing is it's just an option. I don't think we think it's necessarily the answer. It's this miracle. It's worked for us and it's worked for a lot of people, and it's just another option because based on the percentages that are curable for epilepsy, you're talking 1 in 3 that are still intractable. And so that's 33% that doctors can't figure out. And not knocking doctors, it's a complex issue, Fixing bones is easy, but when you're messing with the brain, it's pretty complex and we haven't got it figured out yet. So just one option that's working for a lot of families. I don't think, it doesn't work for everybody, but neither does traditional pharmaceuticals. So just being here, I think provides that feeling like, you know, this doesn't seem like a dungeon. It's not a dark alley where you're going to pick up cannabis. We're out in the forefront, and you know, we're stand up and trying to just offer a legal and, you know, comfortable option outside of pharmaceuticals.
Jaden's Journey is Jaden's Journey and Jaden's Juice. Jaden's Journey is our dispensary in Northern California, Modesto, California. We do a lot of support groups and education about cannabis. It's not about a product, it's about educating people on how to heal their families, not just the child, but the whole family. Because when a child is sick, the whole family is sick. So we do support groups and seminars, we educate people. We have different CBD products, THC products. And we don't just carry Jaden's Juice, we also carry other products of cannabis, because it's not just about CBD and THC. We pride ourselves on finding the cannabis that works for a child. It's also the extraction base, the base of the product, the different terpenes and cannabinoids. So we give options. We want to help heal families. So that's what we stand for at Jaden's Journey and Jaden's Juice, is helping people not just with the product, but also having our community put it together and do support groups and bringing everyone together, because it's not just the moms and dads that are seeing the kids be sick, but there's caregivers as the brothers and sisters, the siblings taking care of their little brothers and sisters that are sick, and we bring them in together in our store, in our community, and make them meet each other and make it a safe environment, so you know that they're not the only caregivers at 12 and 13 years old for their child, their brother or sister is sick. So for us, it's about bringing the community together. There's a lot of different things out here about a product. For me, it's about parenting. The best MD for your child is mom and dad. I really want to tell people, it's you know, when people say the research shows this is what's going on with your type of epilepsy or whatever, it's really what you do as a parent, or as reading your own body if you have epilepsy. And that's what we forget to do. We listen to other people, but we don't listen to our own bodies, and we don't research our own bodies or our children. We just listen about here's how many milligrams. So my epilepsy awareness is educating people about how to heal themselves instead of just listening to others. I think the best thing about this event is not the products, not Jaden's Juice or anything else here. I think it's the families meeting each other and connecting. For me, that's what helped me out too, because it's like what I said, is the kids sick, the adults, they go through depression. Your kid's sick, you have high expectations for your kids, and I think that if we could bring a community together, but not just these products, because some work, some don't. I get it. At the end of the day, but you know what works together is support. And when you have support, it brings good energy to the mom and dad, and it transfers to the child or to someone else with epilepsy. So for me, it's much more than just all these booths. It's people meeting other people, good people.
So we're a cannabis manufacturing company, and we make various different cannabis products, from full extract oils to different tinctures. And we work with a lot of different patients, anywhere from young kids with epilepsy to adults, patients with cancer, and people with a variety of different autoimmune diseases. So we work a lot with medical professionals, and we specialize in also making custom blends. So if somebody needs a specific blend that we don't make, we can custom blend it for them by adding different terpenes and making different potencies for them. We work really closely with a lot of doctors, one of them being Dr. Bonnie Goldstein, and we work with a lot of her patients. And so a big portion of our patient base are epileptic patients, and so that's why we're here today. We feel that we like to be here to give people a lot of education and information to know that this is something that's available for them, and that for the most part it works for most people. I feel that with all the different vendors that are here, there's a lot of programs and assistance and things that people don't know that are out there. We've actually had a few people that have come by, and they don't know anything about cannabis. So just like how we're educating people, everybody else that's here is educating families on how their products or services can help benefit them, and give them a better quality of life, because that's really what we're here to help to do.
So Dante Labs is a global genetics testing company on the mission to make advanced genomics accessible to everyone. We are lowering the price of genetic tests of all exome sequencing and all genome sequencing from thousands of dollars to hundreds of dollars, so that everyone can buy them. First of all, this is an amazing event. A lot of energy, a lot of great people, a lot of interesting stories. Here we're also donating some whole exome sequencing to participants in the event, so that we have a grant and we're using the research money to help people in need, and so that's the way we help them, by giving them access to free whole exome sequencing. Number one, it really connects families with other families. Number two, connects families with geneticists, doctors, physicians, with companies helping and working in this space. And number three, I think it's also a great opportunity for the kids to come, meet other kids, play, visit Disneyland, and generally, have a good time.
Advocate for my child. She got VNS therapy, which is a medical device implant. Goes right here, and it goes to your vagal nerve into your brain, and it stops seizures. My daughter's been seizure-free for 9 months now. She got the implant 2 years ago, and it's been a huge difference in her quality of life, which is why I'm here today. To me, it's about getting information out. There's a lot of parents that don't know, especially what VNS is. VNS has been around 20 years. They've never heard of VNS before. Getting to talk to other parents who are going through the same thing that I've been through with my child, getting to know doctors, getting to know medical staff, getting to know those people that are in sales, that are selling these different devices, medications. This convention brings everybody together. We all kind of bring our ideas together, and that's what I do, is I write everything down, all the things that I've been experiencing today, so that I can kind of collect all that data and apply that to the problems that my daughter's having with epilepsy.
So I work at UCLA, the Mattel Children's Hospital Epilepsy Center. We're a comprehensive epilepsy center, taking care of all ages of patients, all different diagnoses. We have surgery, diet therapy programs, and we have a new program coming up, the Adolescent Epilepsy Center. And we're going to be focusing on adolescence and transition from adolescence into adulthood, as well as a lot of the comorbidities associated with epilepsy, like depression, anxiety, ADHD, things like that. Because if you really look at the literature, it's the comorbidities that make the biggest impact on quality of life, and not necessarily the seizure control. So that should be opening in the spring soon. So we participate in Epilepsy Awareness Day, each year, and we come at the booth and talk to everyone's here, give them information, and then we usually go to Disney the next day, and so that's a lot of fun. This year we had the Epilepsy Walk Sunday right before this, so it's been a very educating and exciting few days. I think there are a lot of booths that have a lot of interesting information that to provide, but I think the best thing is that families and patients, even more importantly, get to meet other families that have epilepsy, or other patients that have epilepsy. And a lot of kids, you'd be surprised, don't ever meet someone with epilepsy. And it's events like this and the Epilepsy Walk and some of the summits that the Epilepsy Foundation puts on, and that's where they meet other parents and other children. And I think that really can help out a lot, both families and patients.
I'm a physician assistant at Children's Hospital Los Angeles. We have an accredited level 4 epilepsy center. That means that we have options such as ketogenic diet, we have medication trials, we have neuromodulation with the vagus nerve stimulator, and we offer brain surgery for our candidates. We have a 4-bed epilepsy monitoring unit. We have 5 epileptologists and great people, great team, mid-level nurse practitioner, PA. So I've been participating in Epilepsy Awareness Day for 3 years. I think Dr. Holder and Children's Hospital has been involved for 4 years. And it's just a really great event for families to come meet each other, learn about epilepsy, learn what options are out there for them, meet other families with similar diseases, etc. I think it benefits them by just learning about what's out there, what treatment options are available, what new products are available, and then connecting families to each other. A lot of them can answer questions for each other because they've been through things, maybe issues with schooling, getting services, and so I think that community is very helpful for patients, for families, yeah.
My name is Sheena Dhaman. I'm the nurse navigator for the epilepsy program at Hoag Hospital in Newport Beach, California. And we are a level 3 epilepsy center in Orange County. And we do all our epilepsy surgeries, epilepsy monitoring unit admissions in-house. We have an epileptologist, Dr. David Millett, who is a very well-known epileptologist and a neurologist. And we do our surgical resection, implants of devices, various devices at Hoag Hospital itself. We join the Expo here at Disneyland every year, and we represent our program, and we want everyone to be aware that epilepsy is not it is one of the most common neurological disorders, and we want everyone to be aware of it and all the resources and the treatments that are available out there these days. Coming to this event, people get a lot of information about, like I said, a lot of treatments that are out there that they might not be aware of, especially for pediatric population when they're transitioning into their adult years, to know that there are adult centers around them and or at least within the decent radius, which is traveling distance, and they can reach out to those to those centers and seek treatment rather than getting unnoticed and just living with epilepsy without treatment.
So Smart Monitor was founded in 2009 by our CEO and founder Anu, Nathan. We brought the smartwatch onto market in 2012 after 3 years of clinical studies, in-lab and in-home testing. So we have had our smartwatch on the market since 2012, and we have thousands of users worldwide. We wouldn't miss the EADDL every year, so we definitely try to bring awareness to epilepsy and the and different things that people can do to help out in our communities. I definitely think it benefits families by bringing everyone together in one space. You can definitely communicate with other people who share the condition. You can get different options on help, and just it's a really fun and supportive environment.
We're here at Maxify Life. We pretty much help companies and foundations and people navigate the rare disease space regarding CBD products. How to navigate it safely with products that have been tested for their efficacy, and just networking and finding fellow rare leaders.
The key to all of this is information. Good information, proper information. And what an event like this does is get people who can come and talk to people and basically clear up a lot of the chaff and get to the core of what they need and where to go. And the foundations are very helpful, and they do a lot of the work for the community, but it's a matter of communicating and a flow of information from the proper sources, and that's what this really connects people.
We are with Veterans Affairs in West Los Angeles, and we have an epilepsy center of excellence. There are several of them around the country, and we take care of our veterans who have epilepsy and have developed it due to injuries. And we have 185,000 veterans today who suffer from epilepsy. I think this event actually has been incredible because it's also geared to children, and the families are out there asking all the questions, finding what's available to them, and it's sharing stories and information.
So Neil and I here are the co-founders of EpiFinder. We're an app that is currently being pilot tested at Mayo Clinic to help the doctors there better diagnose seizure and epilepsy. We're here at Epilepsy Awareness Day to sort of support the cause. We're also here to let everyone here know that the app that has been used by the doctors, we are now developing a patient version, because patients and doctors have both complained to us that there's not enough time to gather all the information or to hear their full story. So the purpose of our app is to be able to create a version that patients can download at home. It asks them all the questions that the doctor wants answered, and provides them with the time as well as the ability to be with their family members to actually answer all of the questions that are needed to be able to make the diagnosis.
We are EpiFinder, where we have an application which helps doctors and patients to effectively communicate with each other using our application. So the way we do it, we allow patients to take ownership of their health by entering all the symptoms and everything what is going on, either if I have epilepsy or if my child has epilepsy or if I'm a caregiver. And then by the time I complete that information is sent to their doctor real time. So, and for doctor, let's say if I'm a doctor and if I see 15 to 20 patients a day, now rather than asking 15 to 20 questions to my patients, I have every information about my patient at the fingertip. So rather than creating that pressure to my patients and the time crunch, now I can just use this information which is sent by my patient and provide the right type of diagnosis. Also, our clinical app helps doctors with differential diagnosis, because epilepsy has over 62 different types. So more often than not, it is a very complex process for a physician to identify what epilepsy my patient has. So we narrow it down to the top 3 or the top 4 most likely epilepsy for my patients. And that allows me to just focus on those and use it and kind of suggest my patient what to do next. This is our first time at the Expo. Brad got us in and he is incredible. I would say that because so far we had a clinical app, so we were going to doctor conferences, but we just did a Kickstarter campaign and we just went live yesterday, where what we are asking people in the community as a part of Epilepsy Awareness Month is to pledge support and get access to the application so that you can take ownership of your health. And so by pledging on Kickstarter, now you can take the ownership of your health and send that information to your doctor. So we felt that Epilepsy Awareness Day is the right place for us to launch that campaign, because there will be a lot of people and patients around. And we are very fortunate that we have over 5 patients so far who have signed up and who really wants to make a difference.
They really want to take back control of their health.
There are a lot of exhibitors like us over here, but focusing on what we are able to do is that, imagine you are a mom and you have like 2 kids and one of your kid has epilepsy, right? Yeah, and you see your doctor only once every 3 months. There are so many things goes on with a kid throughout that 90 days that it is difficult to remember. For me, I even don't remember what I ate yesterday, let alone how a mom of a child can remember every epilepsy or seizure events takes place during that time. So with an application like this, now if I'm at a dinner table, I can just ask my son what happened, okay? Or if something happens, I can see what is happening with my son and put all that information, and just with one click, I can send it to my doctor, and then I can have a good night's sleep, which allows me to just focus on taking ownership of my health, of my son's health, and make sure that my doctor is also happy, because now I'm providing every information what my doctor needs to provide proper diagnosis. A lot of time, we have a busy life, so we don't remember everything within that 10 minutes of the interaction with our doctors. So this allows you to do that.
Please support us on Kickstarter. Our final patient portal app will be done by December 15th, and we need all the support we can get. Not just us as a company, but also to help patients find the proper doctors in their area, because as you know, when it comes to finding an epileptologist, it is a very small specialty in this country, and you can either find someone within your state or you have to go 3 states over just to find someone that can treat your epilepsy.
So join the cause to help end misdiagnosis. We are here for you. Check us out at epifinder.com.
Hey guys, we're CoreWave. We're a wearable EEG for kids with epilepsy. It's worn on the head. We have a Nike headband version and also a Beats wireless headphones. It measures brain activity, and when the child has a seizure, we detect it and then notify a caretaker. We have a mobile app that we can use. We also notify via call, text, Facebook message, however you want to know. And we take that data, give it to the neurologist, and enable them to improve the quality of care that they deliver to the patient. So it's a really cool way of kind of helping kids with epilepsy. Yeah, so our participation has been great, right? We've been very happy with the whole program. It's awesome to be able to be here at Disneyland Disneyland. I mean, what a better place to have a conference than at the happiest place on earth. Been really exciting, great crowd, great showing, and been really happy to have you guys. Oh, I definitely think awareness. So being able to go, get out there and have, I definitely see all this new technology around. I mean, there's dozens and dozens of companies out here, and be able to have all this new technology, see all the new devices out there, and be able to interact and talk to the people and get the feedback is an amazing experience.
So we're the Brain Recovery Project. We founded with a mission to fund research post-hemispherectomy, functional outcomes of children that have had hemispherectomies, which is a brain surgery where either half of the brain is removed or disconnected in an effort to stop seizures. The mission has since been expanded to include all types of pediatric epilepsy surgery, but the goal is really to fund research, to provide families and educators and clinicians with information about the functional outcomes of these children, helping them in educational settings, helping parents learn to advocate for their children in both medical and educational settings, and really just educating people about the risks of drug-resistant refractory epilepsy. My understanding is the Brain Recovery Project has had a booth here for the last several years. This is my first year joining them. My son had a hemispherectomy last December, and I have found the Brain Recovery Project to just be so critical in our decision-making process and just kind of how we continue life afterwards. So this is my first year volunteering here. I think it's incredible to be able to connect with other families that are experiencing things similar to you and just kind of have a commonality and an understanding of how your life is different than others, but also there's so much information here on alternative therapies, on surgery, the different facilities that are here speaking, the actual hospitals themselves, learning from the doctors what causes epilepsy, what are triggers for epilepsy. It's such a widespread disease with so many variables that I honestly don't know a lot about many of the different syndromes that result in epilepsy, but the community here I think is really, really important. To me, Epilepsy Awareness Day is really just about educating people that epilepsy is not always what you think it is. A seizure doesn't always look like the typical grand mal seizure that people think. Epilepsy can be very subtle, seizures can be very subtle, and epilepsy can really impact your life in so many different ways. It's not something that I was aware could be so debilitating for families and for people. So having resources like this and the sense of community where you can share ideas and thoughts and experiences and what's worked for you and what hasn't worked for you, and to just to me, knowledge is power, so being able to come here and gather information from multiple different vendors and many different areas of need, all of that coming together is just important.
We're a company called 3 Billion, and what we provide is an affordable, direct-to-patient genetic test, specifically for rare disease patients. So we can search the entire genome for specific disease-causing mutations and tell patient why they may be sick through looking at their genetic markers. So it's our actually first time here, and we flew all the way from Korea to be part of this amazing event. We're amazed at not only the scale, but also the enthusiasm and the how active the patients are, and we hope to be here next year again to see raise awareness and see how we can help. I think one of the first things that's very important is meeting other families that share same concerns and same conditions, and obviously coming here to learn about new technologies like ours that's very on the forefront, like genetics. Just meeting other patient relation groups or therapeutic groups that may be of help. So I think just kind of coming here and seeing what's out on the market is very important for not only for the families but also for companies like ours as well.
The company I work for is called NeuroPace, and we're the world's first closed-loop simulator for patients with partial onset epilepsy, and been around for about 3 years commercially now. Great reason for a lot of patients to go to a level 4 center to find out more about this therapy. This is actually my first year here. I'm one of the newer guys in town, and the event is exceeded my expectations. It's been able to answer a lot of questions, a lot of very engaged people, whether it's caregivers, people with epilepsy as well, or people who are interested in therapy. So this format has been really, really helpful. very educational. I'm learning a lot as well. I feel like it's the Walmart or Target of epilepsy. It's like a one-stop shop to find out, the latest and greatest information out there. A lot of people had never even heard about our company and the services that we have to offer, which is another great resource for people who are basically sometimes think that they're out of options, and a good chance to interact with physicians as well as interact with other patients and caregivers who are sharing a similar journey.
So we are CURE, Citizens United for Research in Epilepsy. We're coming up on our 20th anniversary, and we are the largest non-governmental funder of epilepsy research in the world. Right now we're launching our Epilepsy Awareness Month campaign. We didn't launch it, but we're participating with Miguel Cervantes of Chicago's production of Hamilton. We're doing the My Shot campaign, encouraging people to take the My Shot pose, tag their friends, and donate at cureepilepsy.org. We're trying to raise awareness, and we're also trying to raise the really, really critical funds we need to cure epilepsy. Our mission is funding research, and we're going for 0 seizures and 0 side effects. This is our 3rd year running. Yes, last year we had the whole side wall. This year we're here promoting mostly our participation in Epilepsy Awareness Month, but also our Epilepsy Genetics Initiative and the My Shot campaign. I think it all comes down to research for us. Our founder, Susan Axelrod, felt that she saw a serious gap in the research being done for epilepsy. We are 10 times more prevalent than the other neurological disorders in the world, and we are way, way, way less funded than they are. So I think we try to bring it back down to research for a cure.
Well, we are Rare Science. We are a patient applied advocacy organization as well as a research organization. Our goal is to try to find therapies that are currently on the market that might be able to help our rare children population. There are probably close to almost probably 8,000 diseases right now, rare diseases, where there will only be a handful of children who may have a particular disease. And we've discovered that if you can pool this information and find some similarities within the disease groups, there might be a better approach to trying to find some sort of medical solution, some medicine that might be on the market today that can be used to help that patient population. So instead of looking at the disease by a disease name, we're looking at the disease by the way it looks. Is it seizure-based? Is it neurological-based? Is there bone growth issues? What is happening within the disease, and what drugs can we provide now that may address those issues? Along with that, we do have a stem cell research program for a very small population. It's ADCY5 is the group, where we were able to get the stem cells, grow them in a dish. They are a muscle-related kind of dyskinesia disorder, and once the muscle is grown in the dish, we will be able to process compounds, drugs that are on the market right now to see if anything works. So instead of giving the drugs or the medicines to the children and have them ingest them to see what might happen, we can actually run that test in a petri dish instead of on a child. So we're pulling forward with that research, as well as research in a self-reporting tool for parents to be able to communicate issues that are happening with their children over the course of the day or the week or the month, so that they can actually track progress or issues with their children and then bring that information into a medical provider, a researcher, a doctor, anyone that might be able to take that information and use it to be able to find some help or some medicine that might be working for the child or possibly work for the child. The Rare Bear program is our outreach. Every one of these bears have a serial number on them, and every bear represents a child in our database. So when a child receives a bear, they're actually logged into our research database to build the community. But we also have a huge community of quilters out there in the world. We have over 2,000 quilters worldwide, representing over 11 countries. These bears are gifted to us. They come in usually as skins, and we have organizations throughout actually the country that will stuff the bears and stitch them up. A lot of times it's our Girl Scouts who do it. We have Boy Scouts that do it. We've got corporations that will take this on as a volunteer activity. Once the bears are stitched up, they're matched to a child. The child will fill out a consent form, or essentially a request form, with their name, age, their preferences in the way of hobbies, colors. Once a month, every Sunday, third Sunday of every month, we gather a group of volunteers. Rare Science is a full volunteer organization. We all gather and we look at the bears, we grab a pick list of the child's requests, and we go and we hunt down the perfect bear for the child, and we ship it off. And once the bear is shipped to the parents and the family opens the bear, we ask that they take a picture of that bear so that we can send it back to the quilter so they can see where the bear landed. So it's kind of a full circle research organization and community outreach, and it's really taken off. We've got a lot of good response, and we're doing a lot of good things, at least we hope we are. So Epilepsy Awareness Day is interesting because although epilepsy is not a rare disease, many children who have rare disease will have seizures and present with epilepsy. So we were asked to come this year. This is our first year. We're excited to be here, and we're trying to support the epilepsy community by providing them our support and by gifting the bears to them when they come over to the booth, or like I said, they can go in and online and request a bear down the road so they don't have to bring it home. Well, one of the things I think that both Darian and I who are here today have seen is just the general outreach and support that you can provide to families, and by building communities and building information and providing their families with a resource and information, it empowers the families, and the more information you have, the better chance you have to not only get help for your child but to find a solution.
So my name's John Cooper. I'm a professor of pediatrics at LA Biomed, Harbor U CLA Medical Center. I'm here promoting the work that we do on Batten disease, which is a rare inherited children's disease, but also on behalf of the Batten Disease Support and Research Association, so the BDSRA.org. They are the non-profit organization in the States that offers help and support to families who have a diagnosis of one of the multiple forms of Batten disease. I think it's more a case of what we can do to help them. So for all the forms of Batten disease, we're working to come up with, well, A, understand them, and B, come up with therapies ourselves. So that depends on us putting the hard work in. We get a lot of inspiration from those families, so us having interactions with those families inspires us to keep moving forwards. A lot of that comes down to also raising money helps. Getting research for working on a rare disease is incredibly difficult, and a lot of fundraising through organizations like the BDSRA is important for funding work that's done in our labs, but quite possibly the most important thing those families do is inspire us. Well, this is really important because there's lots of people wandering around this room meeting people like me at tables for diseases that they've never heard of. So there are multiple different sources and causes of epilepsy, of which Batten's is just one of them. And families who may not have a proper diagnosis or may not know exactly what is causing their child's epilepsy, it's very important that they know where to turn to get practical advice and support. And that's where patient support organizations like the BDSRA are vital, because if you discover you have a rare disease, you Google it and find out all sorts of frightening things. It's very important that they then know where to turn to for help and advice, and that's where organizations like BDSRA or any one of the others for other disorders in this room are important. So this is a great event because it brings those organizations together so that families can have some idea where to look to for help.
Our company's name is Rhythm Link, and we make disposable EEG electrodes and MRI CT EEG electrodes. Well, this is the second year we've come to this meeting, and it's been great. I mean, for public service and resources, it's a fantastic meeting, and we hope to be back again next year. I think it has a great effect on them because there's so many resources and so much information at this meeting, and you can tell people are always searching for something to help their family, and this place is great because there's just a ton of information available to families here.
Well, the Content Institute Hidden Truths Project is art as education. It started about 7 years ago, and it was using art as a voice for people with epilepsy. And so basically, all the artists in the art exhibit and fundraiser have epilepsy. And over the years, I've acquired about 260 artists from all over the world with epilepsy, and art becomes their voice to share their story. And it's really to empower them, to educate them, and yet I use it as an educational tool. So the fundraiser actually is for the public, and we share their stories so that the people understand epilepsy better. And then I give back to the artists. So the artists, basically, they do the art for the show. They submit their work. It's a juried art show. And then the monies are returned to the artists. Generally, most of them donate a portion to research. And this year, the 2017 show, this piece is from the 2017 show. And Cure is my beneficiary. So basically, any proceeds goes to research to find a cure for epilepsy. And it's kind of branched out. This is a coloring book from the 2013 show, and all the artwork inside is artists with epilepsy. I interview the artists so they share their stories. These are epilepsy facts. And then this is another project we're doing with two other nonprofits, FDATA, my nonprofit, the Content Institute Hidden Truths Project, and Cure. So basically these are t-shirts, pullovers, and this is art from the show this year. And then inside are epilepsy facts. So when people come up and they're like, cool shirt, where'd you get it? And it's like from 1 to 26, the art of epilepsy. And then you can talk about epilepsy. So it's really getting the word out there in a different kind of creative form. So, like I said, this is my 7th year doing it, and it's been really great. I mean, we've been at the National Institute of Health for an art exhibit. I've done shows in DC, and we're hoping to take it national this year. The way it benefits, because all the artists have epilepsy, and so I get to capture their stories. So they get a sense of empowerment, and a lot of them do art for, it's one thing they can control in their lives. I mean, you talk to most people with epilepsy, and the thing that they fear the most is loss of control. But they choose to make art. Art is something they can control. Art is also something that connects to people that don't have epilepsy, so that it engages a larger audience, and it affects them on an emotional and an intellectual level. For me, it's great because I get their stories out there. I educate the public in a really cool way that people can relate to. And so the return, because I always follow up with all the artists, is this sense of empowerment. They're contributing to a larger cause. So, you know, and their monies, many of them choose just to have the money go to research. So they become part of this large community of like individuals. You know, they're part of this international community now that get to share their voices.
We're the Epilepsy Association of Utah, and we're just a Utah-based organization with support. Our mission is education, outreach, and awareness. So we try to educate with our Seizure Smart training that is on our website and our Facebook. And it just educates the families on how to respond to seizures. We've gone to schools and work and pretty much anywhere you need the education, and we just try to help our families best way that we can. We've been here 3 years, and this is my 2nd year, and I love it. It just seeing the big families, I think it shows them that they are not alone, and that there is multiple support groups for them, and they are able to meet new friends. We've seen a couple little girls run around who are now best friends, and they met yesterday. So I think it's definite benefit for all the families.
We are from Ontario, Canada, from York Region, located in Richmond Hill. We're always coming out with like new ideas. The new thing is art. And I myself have been finding certain art techniques to be quite calming, actually, to help control seizures, because it brings the brain in a different direction. We kind of have online connections like everybody does. We are trying to work with other companies for not so much funding, but just ideas, to share ideas back and forth. And we try to have like as much information as we possibly can, and that's one reason why we come down to this conference every year. It's our third year here, and we just want to be able to bring back more to Canada so that ideas can be spread around the world to help others. And I've been saying to people today, I said it's really fantastic that we have everything labeled with websites now, because, you know, we can connect now worldwide basically, whereas we couldn't in the past. Like when I was first diagnosed 30 years ago, 33, something like that, it was hard. You always went to the meetings and the fundraising events and things like that, because it's non-profit, so there are a lot of fundraising events that go into our company, and that in itself is a lot of work. And but now, as I said, they try to get people together like they did in the past, to come to some meetings and to come and do activities. York Region is incredibly huge, and it is very difficult for people to get down to the actual building in itself. So being able to connect online is like super helpful.
Our foundation is called the Chelsea Hutchison Foundation, and we raise public SUDEP awareness in memory of our daughter who we lost about 8 years ago. The funds that we raise for the foundation provide grants for seizure response dogs and the different life-saving, what we believe to be life-saving movement monitors. We've participated in Epilepsy Awareness Day at Disneyland all 5 years. This is our 5th year. We are one of the founding partners of it, and our goal is each year to get as many families to this event as we can. So we have a program within our within our foundation called Chelsea's Wish, where we grant all expense paid trips to families across the United States to participate here. So we believe strongly in this event. And this year we brought 14 families with us this year.
My name is Ed Crane, and I'm the founder and president of a nonprofit organization called My Assistance Dog Incorporated. And our goal is to simply educate people about assistance dogs. Every aspect from going out, pursuing, investigating whether an assistance dog is right from you, to those folks who already have a dog, getting veterinary care, getting financial support, all the different aspects of the nature of taking care of a dog once you have it. We've been up and running for 5 years now. I myself happen to be dealing with epilepsy. I've had epilepsy for 15 years now, and I had brain surgery performed 15 years ago. And that reduced the seizures for me and made life easier, but it still had a challenge in life. And this is my second assistance dog. His name's Aleppo. I had a black lab retriever first, and both of these dogs are seizure alert dogs. They have the ability to warn me about 30 minutes in advance of each and every seizure. They provide me, he's got a harness on, so they provide me balance and support, and are also able to respond to roughly 30 or 4 commands, everything from opening doors to opening windows to pressing elevator buttons or flipping light switches. What they have done is restored a level of normalcy for me in life. And 5 years ago, we formed a nonprofit organization here called My Assistance Dog Incorporated, based out of Fresno, California. And our goal is simple, just to educate the public first about assistance dogs and service dogs, how to pursue the organizations to get what to consider about a dog before going after a dog, and then second, to the public that already has partnered with a dog, we try and help them any way we can with raising funds, getting free veterinary care, dog food, all of those types of things. So we're a resource out there to help understand and pursue dogs by people who are already disabled, because they'll make a big difference in life. I come down each year, prepare for it here. Since I have epilepsy, I have, with My Assistance Dog Inc., a Facebook page and a website. We've got roughly 1 million followers around the world and on all the continents with respect to information about these special dogs. And each year we look forward to preparing. We just put on a presentation inside, and our goal is simple. If we could change one person's life, it would be worth it. And running into so many different people and possibly changing more lives fulfills us in many, many ways. So any way we can be helpful, we've got a website and a Facebook page. We're happy to help if you have any questions about an assistance dog, how to pursue one. Any way we can be helpful at all, please contact us. From my perspective as an individual, I'm 60 years old, so many people probably think I'm an old-timer at this point, but you've got the medical communities here, the doctors with their presentations that explain and educate us about aspects of epilepsy, the pharmaceutical communities here to talk about the medications that are available, how to pursue trials with their medications to help if you've got epilepsy. You've got almost every nonprofit that's involved with epilepsy has a booth here with their specific information. So even if you have a certain type of seizure or a certain condition, there is so much information available that it's beneficial to try and get down here or at least be aware of what's going on. It's amazing.
Well, this is the Dravet Foundation, and we're actually, this is the West Coast representation, because this is actually back east, the foundation, but they have now reached out and given us the opportunity to share their literature on the West Coast, and even given us the opportunity to have a West Coast group, which is what you've profiled on the little poster. Those are all West Coast children, some of which are going to be here with us. And the reason for the foundation is that it is a fundraising for research that we think is necessary to really find some treatment options. Dravet syndrome is one of the most intractable seizure disorders, and because it's the mutation, truncation, or deletion of the SCN1A gene, that's a sodium channel gene, and many of the anti-epileptic drugs are sodium channel drugs, so they're contraindicated. So if we have children that aren't diagnosed correctly, then, and my daughter was only diagnosed at 20, so many of the bad drugs or the contraindicated drugs are used, and that can cause further complications and problems, and it can cause a lot of unnecessary risk in ER kinds of settings where they've got to do intervention to stop these horrific long-term seizures. So this particular organization was kind of a grassroots movement, and they're really doing an amazing job in funding research programs that we've come up with some answers for these kids. So props to them. I'm just a mom. It's amazing. We're blessed to have been here. This is our 4th year. We're blessed to know Brad personally. He worked with my daughter, so he's done some EEGs with her, and the networking is amazing. But the most significant thing is that what happened yesterday, a couple of years ago, we had a family come to this table, and they had a little child that was just seizing and seizing and seizing, and they talked to us, and I was just sure in my heart. And so I really encourage them to push their neuro and talk to them about this and take the literature. And they were tested, and they were positive. And you don't want anybody to have Dravet, but more importantly, you don't want them to have Dravet and not be diagnosed, because then more harm could come to their child. So I think it's an amazing outreach to the public, and it's the only reason I'm here. I mean, my angels at home and my grandbabies are at home, but it's so cool to know that we're giving this information to families that are using it and they're taking it to their doctors. And this is still a relatively underdiagnosed disease. So if you can get the word out and get scientific literature out and get it in the hands of the doctors, either directly or via the patient, which moms are like tenacious research and information passers. If you can get that done, then that's a goal. That's the goal. So it's amazing, and we're thankful to be here. How does it benefit the families? It's amazing because, I mean, this particular case, 5-year-old child, undiagnosed. She was diagnosed epilepsy, and that's just a blanket. So if she would have been treated, she could have gone through, like my child, through 15, 17 different drugs. Once you pinpoint the correct diagnosis, then that doctor can bring that way down, and they have a much more scientific approach to help that child. So it's not only giving them medical, we don't give medical information, but we're giving them things to go and talk to their doctors about. The advocacy programs are amazing. I've been looking at them. You've got the seizure dogs, which is a dream of mine from my little 27-year-old. And so you just have everything pulled together in one place, which is amazing for these families, because just getting out to something like this is a huge undertaking. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy to take your child to a doctor's appointment, nevertheless, to get this kind of information. So I think what's nice about it is it's all here, and the goal is tomorrow for the kids, but the families get the benefit of all of this information in one place, and it's things they wouldn't hear about if they didn't come to an expo. I'm sure of it.
Okay, that says Make-A-Wish of Orange County, Inland Empire, and we grant the wishes to children from 2.5 to age 18 with life-threatening illnesses. Make-A-Wish is also worldwide, so it's not just the Inland Empire and Orange County. Anybody across the country can get a wish granted, provided their doctors approve it and it goes through the wish process. My participation, I was contacted by the wish organization to come out, and I decided this was a good cause to come out and represent Make-A-Wish and give back and inform the patients and children that come by and their parents to our organization. I think just the fact that we're all in one location, it gives the children, families, one place to gather information, open up avenues of treatment and other things that will help ease their condition and give information to the family.
So we're Raising Cane's. We're a chicken finger restaurant, been around for about 20 years, based out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. There's about 6 out here in California. So Raising Cane's is actually named after Cane, and Cane was a service dog. So the founder, Todd Graves of Raising Cane's, is really big on pet welfare and giving back to the community. So once we heard about epilepsy awareness and the tie to service dogs, we thought, hey, we would love to help be a part of this great event. You know what, I think it builds a greater awareness to it, get people to understand that there's different, I guess, factors that go along with it and how to better understand and help support it.
This is the GLUT1 Deficiency Foundation. This is the reason, well, not the foundation, but GLUT1 Deficiency is the reason for my daughter's seizures. We spent 2 years on 8 or 9 failed medication combos, and we finally had genetic testing, and we found out why nothing worked, because we weren't addressing the real issue. Her brain was in fuel crisis because she couldn't get glucose across her blood-brain barrier. So, of course, the meds weren't working. So what we needed to do for her was to put her on the ketogenic diet, which is a high-fat diet that forces the body to use ketones instead of glucose. And once we did that, she's been seizure-free ever since. So the GLUT1 Deficiency Foundation is made up of parents who are committed to sort of spreading the word about our particular rare disease and other rare diseases in general. We encourage genetic testing for people who don't have good seizure control and who don't understand why. It's important because it can affect your treatment choices. So for us, we didn't want to do another medication or the VNS, for example, because it wasn't addressing what was really going on. Once we knew what was going on, we could treat her and she could get seizure freedom. So my first year here at the conference or the expo, I was on that side of the table just as a parent with a scared mom with a kid with epilepsy who wanted more information. And by the following year, I was on this side, encouraging people to keep asking questions and hopefully to get some answers. It's not being alone. It's my daughter not being alone, seeing other kids and adults. In previous years, when she was a little bit younger, she's 8 now, but she was a little younger, we were at Disneyland on the t-shirt day, as I call it, and she said, wow, everybody here in purple shirts has epilepsy like me? So, well, no, not everybody in a purple shirt, but they're affected. It's either the child or the sister or the dad, but we're all in it together, and it's their family. It's affected their family. So that part's important. It's sharing information. There's been a lot of additions since the first or second year. There's the service dogs, there's the CBD, there's just a lot more information being shared and a lot more people asking a lot of questions. So it's not just fun, although it is. Oh, it gives them hope. It gives them community. We have people from all over here, all over the United States, all over the world. So, they don't feel alone anymore asking those same questions or getting that same information. It's nice for the kids, not just the little toys, but to see other kids like them or similar to them. I think it's really important, and not just for the parents. We see a lot of grandparents, aunts and uncles, and it gives them those extended relatives that often come here for the Disneyland part of it. I think it gives them a sort of a peek into more of what we go through.
Well, we are Mountain High Service Dogs. We train service dogs for a variety of disabilities, anaphylactic allergies, epilepsy, autism, brace and balance and PTSD for our military veterans. We have our display here is kind of modest. Normally we use a little bit more to tell about us, but didn't quite know what to bring on this one. And so we train 3 breeds, Golden Retrievers, Labradors, and German Shepherds, depending on what the people are comfortable. And we will also use a mix of those breeds. We find they do very well. I was trained by Jennifer Arnold at Canine Assistance through some of her training seminars, as well as some additional education with her and Victoria Stillwell. So I have my certification with them. And I work very close with their methods, their time-tested methods of reading dogs and training dogs with their body language. So, this is Mountain High's first time. We purchased the other company known as Noel's Dogs for Hope, so that we came here as Mountain High Service Dogs. It's our first time, so this is really cool. But I've trained epilepsy dogs, and currently every one of my epilepsy dogs that are German Shepherds are alerting, which most are German Shepherds because single moms and things like that, they want to feel secure, and the Shepherd does not have a come here pet me look, so when they are seizing they feel safe. I think it's a very good conglomerate of people, from doctors to businesses to devices that are modern and new that are out there, choices that can be given to the families, and it's a lot of information, so they'll probably take it back to their homes, mull it over, think it over, talk about it, talk with their doctors and things, and I think that's a great idea because I'll be honest, service dogs are not for everyone. It's like having a 2-year-old child all the time. So this may not be for everybody, and I got that, and I'm okay with that. For someone to say, hey, I don't want a dog because it's just too much. I'd rather you be honest with me.